Beautiful day in the mountains in Alberta here, and I thought I'd share my thoughts on the Yamaha Tenere 700. I decided I wanted something a bit more powerful. I kind of missed the power and the kind of road fun side of things, and it's kind of fun just to ride a big huge bike off-road too. There's like a challenge to it and it's kind of more fun, so I kind of missed that. And now that I've got my little Garmin in reach, I'm not as worried about, you know, the bike falling on my leg and breaking it and me being pinned there and no one to come help. I can at least have the Garmin if for some reason that does happen to me. I'm a little crazy, so it's possible, but so far this bike has really impressed me. I don't even know where to start. I'll kind of describe the history of this particular bike because I bought a used bike. This bike's got about 19,000 kilometers on it now. I think the first owner rode it pretty well. He's damaged the plastics, and you know, there's little cracks in here and there in the plastics. Are scratched up a bit. He did some little bit of Bondo job on one of the cracks here. And of course the exhaust has been bent in, God knows how many times. But I'm going to be replacing that exhaust. He's done a tail tidy and the Acerbis tank, and he put aftermarket handlebars on and the Camel ADV little bracket to support the little dashboard and everything. I put in a charger, USB charger, all that kind of fun stuff. So, and then I added the bark busters. Oh, there's also an Acerbis plastic skid plate on the bottom. Seems to be holding up all right. I put on the bark busters just the other day because I broke my front brake lever just dropping the bike. It's a slow little drop and it snapped it right off, and I was like, son of a... So I bought another aftermarket brake lever. The stock one, the dealership was trying to charge me $100 for it, and I bought this for like $115, and it's way nicer. I don't know what the deal is with that. Like, I was like, what? These cheap aluminum brake levers are $100? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, look at this cheap aluminum. This is the clutch lever. Does that look like it's worth $100 to you? That's insane. Anyway, yeah, I just literally fell over like a minute ago, and the bark busters just saved my clutch lever, so good job, bark busters. I got the Tenere 700 specific ones. So they got like this little kind of thing that jogs up here. It works really well. It comes with a bar end weight for the end, and it's nice and wide and long. Gives you a lot of coverage, and I use the storm hand guards on there, the little storm attachments, so they give you more wind protection because I live in Canada and I like to ride as long during the year as I can, which means I can ride, I don't know, maybe 8 or more months of the year if I want to. Oh, it's got the Yamaha heated grips, but they're not working. So I'm gonna take them apart at some point, maybe a winter project, and just see if I can get them working again. Could be just a wiring issue. I've heard of some wiring issues with these Yamaha heated grips. Yeah, so it's got a bunch of stuff, aftermarket stuff on it, which is nice. And you know, I got a good enough deal on it that I could actually afford it, which means it was a pretty good deal because I've wanted the Yamaha Tenere 700 for forever. It's got, right now it's got the Pirelli, the original, the Scorpion Rally front, and it's got what is this, a Dunlop Rally Raid D908 RR on the back. It's almost bald. It's got a tiny bit left to give in it, but I've got some Midas, the new Rally, what are they called? Rally Trail XT Plus or something like that. Or no, there's the regular ones, not the Plus. So they got the softer rubber. I got them coming. I'm going to mount those. But anyways, back to the bike. This bike is fucking amazing. Sorry for the swearing. I absolutely love this thing, man. It's got, it really reminds me of the Fortnite review. He says, you know, it doesn't have too much power, but it's enough to be really fun. And that's exactly how to describe it. Like, it's a really fun motor. It's got tons of torque. It lugs down low really well, but it also revs really high really well, which is something I noticed about the Kawasaki KLX 300 too, especially once I had the ECU reflashed on that. you could use the whole rev range. It was great, and this bike is the exact same. So I'm really enjoying this bike. I think the one major gripe I've noticed so far is just this windscreen. It looks really good, so I'm probably not going to change it, but because I'm shallow, but it gives me some pretty good wind buffeting at times on my helmet, which is kind of annoying. Like if I was on a really long road trip, it'd drive me nuts. Frankly, if I was on a long road trip, I might even just take this thing right off. So, but I don't know if I'm going to try to fix that or not. I might try to make a little plastic thing to go behind here so that this little air hole, the air can more easily flow up top here. Because right now the air just flows and hits this dashboard like immediately. And I'm sure it causes a lot of turbulence right there. If I had more smooth flow and smooth flow all the way to the top here, it'd probably make it seem like the windshield's a bit bigger. So I'm going to try that. We'll see how it goes. But, you know, this bike is so fun. And when you're moving past, I don't know, 15 kilometers an hour, it feels similar to a dirt bike. You notice a little more weight, but it rides really well. I can't comment on the original suspension because the previous owner of this upgraded the springs to stiffer springs in the front and the rear. They're actually, I think, too stiff. Like it's like a race bike. Like I could probably take this thing off of like some serious like MX jumps and stuff because the suspension is so insanely stiff. I've been messing around with the compression and rebound on the front and rear just to see if I can get it better, but it's not looking good. So I might just have to suffer with a bit harsher suspension. I mean, it works better for off-road, but on the road, if I'm on like a gravel road that's really rutted and got a lot of bumps and big rocks and like washboard and stuff, it's absolutely horrendous. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that, man. But we'll just leave it for now. And maybe down the road when I need to rebuild the shocks, I'll put the original springs back in. I'm not really sure, and I don't know what rate of spring he put in there. I've got the original box, but I can't actually find with the barcode what kind of race tech springs he put in. But either way, I mean, it's fun. But the seat, I want to comment on the seat because a lot of people in the reviews say the seat sucks, but I think it's great. I can just push on a little bit. It's real cushy, and I sit with my butt back to like about here when I'm riding on the road. And it's nice and comfortable. My butt my butt hasn't even gotten sore at all. So I don't know, I think it's just fine, to be honest. And the Acerbiss tank, I should comment on that. You know, I can't say what it was like before Acerbiss, but I can say that the bike doesn't feel ridiculously top heavy with that on there and full of fuel. It doesn't seem ridiculous to me. I've had to pick up this bike I think 3 times now, dropping out maybe 4 times. And I've already dropped it 4 times. I've put probably 1,000 kilometers on it so far. But I just dropped it over there down that little hill. So I was high-sided and I picked it up myself, no problem. Well, it wasn't no problem. It was a bit of a struggle to get it to the last 20 degrees because I was pushing it up the hill. But it's just fine. I honestly don't see what people are complaining about picking up this bike. I'm not having too much trouble with it. I mean, like if I was off-road in a bunch of loose sand or loose whatever, like mud or whatever, yes, it's going to be a lot harder to pick up. And if I'm in that situation, I'm going to have buddies with me. I'm not going to be going in a bunch of sketchy situations with a big bike like this by myself, at least not intentionally. And so hopefully I'll have buddies to help me pick it up and stuff. But even then I might be able to pick it up. I don't know. I haven't been in that situation just yet. But man, I do love this bike. It is sexy AF. This is like my dream bike. I am so happy to have this bike. It is so beautiful and I love it and it's great. Oh, one other upgrade you might have noticed is he's changed the signal lights to LEDs in the front and rear. So they're more low profile, look a little better. Just broke my mirror when I dropped it, of course, because I was up on that hill and I dropped it and it actually fell, like, you know, when you're on a hill and you drop it downhill, it's got a lot more distance to travel before it hits the ground. Barkbusters did a valiant job, but this mirror didn't survive, so I guess it's toast. But we'll figure something else out. Yeah, beautiful day today. It's supposed to rain all weekend, so my wife let me go out for an evening ride. But yeah, my opinion of this bike is it's absolutely amazing for something like basically an enormous dual sport that you might go on a few adventures here and there with, like long trips. I think this bike's capable of long trips. I can just foresee it being a little bit less comfortable than other bikes for sure. But for me, I'm mostly doing evening rides after work as like a de-stressor. I'm going to be doing a lot of off-road with this bike. I already have done a fair amount. And that's going to be most of its life, just doing dual sport type role, where I'm just riding it to get to the trails, going on the trails, driving home. That's most of what I'll be doing. So I think it fits that role really well. You might have seen I had a CB500X with the Rally Raid kit. It was a level 2, which is like almost essentially the same as the level 3. They kind of just renamed the level 2 the level 3, or at least what the previous level 2 was. But anyways, the suspension was a lot more cushy on that one, which I actually preferred to this. I could still jump it and stuff, but this is just a little too stiff for me. The guy that I bought it from wasn't a heavy dude, so I'm not sure why he went with such high spring rates, but maybe he's planning on doing adventures and loading the bike right down. But anyways, so yeah, it had better suspension, but on the road it always felt lacking. Like when you're going 120 kilometers per hour, the CB500X just felt like it was kind of starting to rev out. Like the gearing was just spaced too close together. It wasn't even like a power issue, I don't think. It had a ton of torque. It could go up anything, and it had a nice low first gear, just like this bike does. Has a great first gear. I find I'm often in second gear, even going really slow in this bike. So it gives you more range. Like off-road, second gear is great for this bike. The CB500X probably had a more comfortable seat, but I don't really notice a difference. You kind of sit more in that bike, where you're a little bit more on top of this bike. I kind of like it better on this bike, I think. What else is there to say about the CB500X? It had a shorter wheelbase, so it was a little bit more compact of a bike, and this is already a pretty compact bike. Yeah, and it already came with a big, huge fuel tank. I mean, this one is a similar size too, so. But, yeah, so, you know, I think they're comparable, and I think if I had just kept that CB500X, I would have been happy with it, but of course I have, like, motorcycle ADHD, and it wasn't my unicorn. It was close. This is my unicorn, I think. I think this might be my unicorn. I've always thought that, you know, I think I wanted a lighter bike like this, where probably a single cylinder, 450cc with good, well thought out gearing. So low first gear, high sixth gear, not too high though. And, you know, maybe like 300, sub 400 pounds for sure, as a kitted out adventure bike type deal. I think that would be a pretty good bike. But you know what? I really like this bike. I love this bike. I think this might be my unicorn. I don't know if this bike's going anywhere. It's pretty incredible. Like, I love the looks of it. I love the function of it. It's just a wonderful motorcycle, and I'm so excited to put some serious kilometers on it, take it off road, have some fun. As far as like future upgrades I want to do to this bike, I would like some more engine protection. So there's some crash bars you can get that they're just lower crash bars for the motor that come out like this far or whatever. I think I want to get some of those just to protect these engine cases, because they stick out pretty far if I drop it on a rock. Probably gonna puncture it. And then, you know, of course you got the water pump and all that on this side that's vulnerable too, and the skid plate doesn't really cover it. It's kind of more of an enduro skid plate. So that's something I'm definitely gonna do probably, and I've ordered a different exhaust for this bike. Don't tell my wife that, she'll murder me. But I thought I really wanted to support Camel ADV and get the Camel one, but I really just didn't want to modify this bracket. So I decided to go with the MIV Dakar, and it kind of comes up, the exhaust pipe kind of comes straight up here and goes back here, and then your exhaust, the actual exhaust muffler, sits underneath this little fairing here, so it's way out of the way. This tire can still go up and down, no problem. There's clearance and everything, so that'll keep me from worrying about, you know, frame issues and stuff with this exhaust pipe sticking out so far. So I think I'll be happier with that. and then I'll be done with the exhaust BS. I think it takes a lot to break this hanger, but because I've never really seen any actual pictures of it being broken or heard of any first-hand experiences of it being broken or anything like that, even on like the Tenere 700 Facebook group and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think it really happens much, and most people ride on the road, but I do a fair amount of off-road with this, so I definitely want that problem fixed, so it's just out of my mind. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about damaging the swing arm when I drop the bike, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but I don't mind this like LCD screen either. It's not bad. I haven't had any issues with it in the sun like people have mentioned yet. You can't see it that well in the sun, and it's got all the data you need. It's got a couple trip meters. It gives you your average fuel mileage. It gives you instantaneous fuel mileage. You know, obviously it's got a clock. It's got a tachometer. It tells you the outside temperature, which is nice to have. It tells you the engine temperature. That's like all you need. That's all I want. And that's what I like about this bike. It's just really simple. There's no fancy pants electronics in it. It's just a simple, straightforward bike. That's why the KTMs don't really interest me that much. That's why the Aprilia doesn't interest me as much. As, first of all, they're less reliable. I know the KTMs are less reliable, but the Aprilia is yet to be proven, but you know, it's probably going to be a little less reliable. Probably not that big of a deal, but more so just that the electronics package, like, it's just kind of ridiculous. You know, the previous guy did an ABS delete on this bike, so it has no ABS, and I like that because I don't want to have to worry about turning it off every bloody time I stall the bike or drop it or whatever. And for me, I just like to learn a bike and learn the threshold braking, so the ABS is kind of not going to help me much anyway in that situation. So if I just threshold brake, it's not that much different than ABS. ABS is probably a little bit better, but I'm a confident rider that I'm not too concerned about it. You know, none of my other bikes have ever had ABS, and I've never had any issues. So, yeah, I hope that rant, I hope somebody enjoyed this and got a little out of it. I'm really enjoying this bike. If you're on the fence about getting a T7 and you feel about it the way I do, I would say just freaking buy one, man. They're absolutely incredible motorcycles. I cannot get enough of this bike. Like, even just looking at it, I'm just like, ugh, yes, I love you. But anyways, you can tell I'm hyped on this bike. Been having a good ride out here in the Rocky Mountains, northwest of Calgary. So yeah, ride safe out there and have a great day, folks.